500 million years ago. The microcontinent was situated near the equator. The Western scientists called it Kazakhstania. The structure with almost full list of elements from the Mendeleev's table inside its depth. What secrets does Kazakhstan soil have? How rich is it? Natural resources are the history of our land for thousands of years.
Today on the program, the stone duvet of Bayanaul, ancient metallurgist of the Pavada Irtysh area, the unique monument of paleontology. The West Siberian plain is the largest in the world. It occupies the major part of Eurasian continent and stretches to Kara Sea in the north and to Kazakh upland in the south. Here among the vast steppes and small hills lies the fantastic oasis of Bayanaul. Here I found what I've been looking for, the real paradise land, wrote the Kazakh steppe philosopher Asan Kayga about Bayanaul in the 15th century. And nomads really think this land was a paradise on the earth. The word Bayanaul has Mongol and Turkic origin and means rich and happy mountains. This pearl of Kazakhstan is located within the steppes in the southwest of the Pavada region. Today, Bayanaul is a national park included in the list of protected areas of Kazakhstan. It was founded in 1985, being the first national park of the Republic of Kazakhstan, and its foundation was caused by necessity to preserve and recover the natural flora and fauna of the Bayanaul mountain ridge. The Bayanaul Mountains possess outstanding geological history. The nature seems to mold these rocks into fantastic forms, creating a stone fairy tale which is hundreds of millions of years. And it is a truth. The archipelago of granite massives was formed during the Paleozoic era, or 250 millions of years ago. The Bayanaul Mountains are nothing else but a sort of melted granite that overflew not on the Earth's surface, but in a depth of several hundreds of meters.
При остывании этого гранита в этом массиве образуется серия трещин.
When granite in this massive cools down, a series of cracks appears, and these cracks lead to contact with surrounding formations. And the main thing that this process of cooling down causes many cracks.
Это остается на поверхности, появляются поперечные трещины и округляются вот эти.
When this remains on the surface, a lot of cross-cut cracks appear, and they're rounded due to weathering and impact of surface waters. That is how so-called layered rocks appear. They move onto each other to form the terrain.
Глыбы, которые складываются один на другой, и получается такой рельеф.
Thus, the granite intrusions, lifted up to hundreds of meters by tectonic movements, gives a picturesque view to the terrain today. But what had been here before these granite massives were formed? The geologists think an ancient sea had once been in the territory of the Pavada region.
Типичный аморис, проявление вулканизма, как сейчас происходит
It was a typical sea with volcanic occurrences, the same as in the Atlantic Ocean. Here this regime had lasted from 1.5 billion to 540 million years, or till the Cambrian period, when the islands with volcanic activity started to form, the way we can observe it in the volcanic belt of the Pacific Ocean, Kamchatka, Kurils, and the rest. As time passed, the first living organisms appeared in the sea. According to the scientific data, some of the organisms are near 300 million years. The ancient sea animals of this period are stored in the paleontological section of the Pavada Local Lore Museum. The first findings, the most ancient, are remainings of brachiopods. They were the first mollusks. You can see them here. The specialists also found the prints of ganoid fish types on shells. There are also different types of belemnites. So they were the first sea animals. Owing to these prehistoric sea organisms, after millions of years, the Kazakhstan largest limestone deposit, Kyrgyzstan, was formed in the territory of the Pavada region. It is a monomineral rock consisting of calcite with admixtures. While mining the limestone in the quarry, the miners often find the shells of ancient mollusks. In the course of time, the land uplifted, the tectonic plates moved and islands aligned. Near 350 million years ago, the so-called the stage of platform development of the major part of geological structures started. And after several dozens of millions of years, the unique mountains of Bayanaul were formed. In millions of years, these fantastic rocks, carved by rain, snow, wind and sun, cover the whole oasis like a sort of duvet. The ancient mountain system is surrounded by mystique legends and stories. The odd-shaped figures seem to make people assume and puzzle out mysteries of nature. Here along the way, a traveler would find the huge stone camel. And here there is a granite rock looking like a giant turtle immersing into the lake. By the way, this extraordinary beautiful water basin and the surrounding area are called Toraygur. The thing is that a couple of centuries ago, this land was a pasture owned by rich landowner Toraygur, the grandfather of well-known Kazakh poet Sultan Mahmud Toraygurov. Besides, the ashes of the poet were also buried here, not far away from the lake.
Наше камни, если описать словами поэта Султан Махмуд Торайгирова, где вы сейчас находитесь.
When describing the beauty of our stones, in his poem, Sultan Mahmud Toraygurov said, "The rocks of Bayanaul are like duvet made by a young lady." This is how the beauty of our nature is described. Another unique mountain is called Jibek, which means a heart-shaped stone. There is a spring running between the rocks. The local residents believe the water flowing from this artery possesses healing properties.
Родник называется Ауле-Блак, то есть священная вода. Это, знаете, можно...
The spring is called Aulye-Bulak, which means a holy water. Here one can feel the water is really good. In summer and winter, it is always of the same temperature.
Например, если, скажем, вот обычно, когда у человека болит зубы или ангина, да,
let's say that when a person has a tooth or throat ache, doctors often prescribe not to drink cold water.
Холодной воды не пил. А здесь наоборот, если ты пьешь холодную...
And here, on the contrary, if you drink this cold water and rinse your mouth, the ache will go away.
Уже боль перестанет.
The total area of the national park is almost 70,000 hectares. The whole territory is cut with cool streams and crystal clear springs. The black alder marks places of water flows. this relic tree is a pride of Bayanaul. Included into the red list of endangered species, usually it grows near the water springs. Therefore, black alder groves help people to define there's a stream nearby. In addition to springs and small rivers, the park has plenty of big and small lakes. The biggest are Joly, Sabandakol, Toraygur. Each of these water basins possesses unique properties and wrapped in beautiful mysteries. All of the lakes have fresh water. The most known Kazakhstan lake is Joly. Its shore is a resort area for tourists. It is also the deepest lake. The maximum depth of Joly reaches 14 meters, and it has also Radon waters. In the beginning of the 18th century, this picturesque lake was called Shoynekol, which means cast iron lake, because this water reservoir is located within odd-shaped rocks, and its form resembles a cauldron for cooking meals. During the period of battles between Kazakhs and Dzungars, the lake was renamed after Joly Batur, that was killed while defending this land from the invaders. By the way, healing properties of the lake were described in the legend about Joly Batur.
As
the lake water contains radon, it has healing properties. And when during the battle Joly Batur was injured, he healed his wounds in the lake. The water didn't infect the blood, but healed it. The legend says that when he fell asleep on the shore of the lake, Dzungars killed him. And there is Joly's grave not far away from the Joly resort area. Another lake of the outstanding beauty is called Sabandakol, which means a soap like in Kazakh. Because the water in the lake is soft and has foam in any season of the year. The legend of this pearl is Bayanaul is connected with the name of Kazakh beautiful girl Bayan. According to the legend, when the girl was taken bath here, she dropped a piece of soap into the lake, and that was how the water started to foam. The legend is beautiful, but it is only a legend, as scientists have their own opinion about the unique properties of Sabandakol Lake. It depends on the chemical composition. The water is alkaline by its content of components. It means that sodium, carbonates, and hydrocarbonates prevail here. While being formed, geological and geographical specifics of the Pavada region created favorable conditions so that during the Stone Age, humans could not only explore this territory, but move forward in their development. For example, the primitive people living in the territory of the North Kazakhstan not only produced tools, but also exported them to other areas. Nucleus, a rock used to make tools. The ancient people split stones and made knives, scrapers, and so on. The stone we have here can be found only in the Bayanaul area, Pavada Region, and North Kazakhstan.
Наш камень встречается на территории Российской Федерации, то есть это вот ближайшие наши.
Our stone can be also found in the territory of Russian Federation, the nearest areas of Altai and Novosibirsk regions.
Такие нуклеусы встречаются и там.
In the territory of Russian Federation, they have such nucleus. What does it mean? It means that at those times, stone was brought to far locations. It means that direct barter existed at those times. At the same time, by studying geological specifics of the region, the scientists do not omit the possibility that the territory of the current Pavada region was a sort of industrial center during the Paleolithic period.
В Павлодарской области на мелкосопочнике очень много выходов
кварцита.
In the Pavada region, within the uplands, there are a lot of places of quartzite exposure. Quartzite is rock used to make tools. These exposures are very interesting, as they are sort of small moving monuments. These are working sites where the ancient craftsmen did primary preparation of the materials.
То есть с сопредельных территорий, скажем, с Алтайского края, с Омского.
Thus, from the neighboring areas of Altai region and Omsk-Irtysh land, the ancient people came here, for example, to Kulund, because of the stone presence. The ancient people came here especially for the stone. Here in the Pavada region, they made primary preparation of the stone and then took raw products to the places where they lived. Later, during the so-called transition period, called the Early Bronze Age by archaeologists, the people living in these territories learned how to smelt copper, tin, and to produce bronze. Thus, one of the most unique monuments of the Andronovo culture, a settlement of metallurgists, is located in the territory of the national park, not far away from the cliff of Kempertas, which means an old witch.
Там присутствует как и ранняя бронза.
The findings date back to early Bronze Age, which was 3.5 and 4,000 years ago, as well as Middle and Late Bronze Age.
Жили, были поселения, тут же недалеко возле поселений. Это все было
The
поблизости.
ancient people lived here. There were settlements, and not far away from the settlements, there were copper mines where people extracted copper ore.
Тут же она,
It was mined here, and then processed and smelted also here.
эта руда обрабатывалась, плавилась.
They produced metal-making alloy. Bronze was produced in such a way.
Делали сплав, то есть получали бронзу.
The archaeologists called this burial site a valley of stone graves. The thing is that Andronovians buried their dead people in stone crypts.
Около метра, чуть меньше, чуть больше. Вот, вырывалась яма, эта яма обкладывалась.
They dug a pit. It was not very deep, about 1 meter or more. This pit was surrounded with stone blocks from 4 sides, and the burial ritual was performed. The grave itself was not filled with soil, but covered with a stone plate. It was a sort of a crypt. All of the stone plates were finished or polished.
Все каменные плиты, они обработаны, где-то отшлифованы.
The natural stone from Bayanaul was used. They took it from the nearest areas and finished or polished it.
Использовали, обрабатывали.
Another unique monument showing the skillful use of stone in the ancient times is also situated in the territory of Bayanaul National Park, not far away from the Toragur Lake. The scientists dated to the early Iron Age, or 7th, 8th century BC. The local people called this complex of kurgans of the Saka period a Bayanaul stone hedge.
Эта местность, получается, это культовый мемориальный комплекс, где были захоронения. Уникальность...
As a matter of fact, this area is cultural and memorial complex where graves were located. This monument is unique for containing different complexes. In addition to main kurgans, the most interesting part is the heart of the site, which is the kurgan with mustaches. The kurgan with mustaches is a structure consisting of big and small kurgans, as well as stone ridges or so-called mustaches, located in the eastern direction.
Так называемые усы.
The scientists do not exclude that this complex could be an ancient observatory. The findings also indicate that ancient people performed ritual animal killings here, and there were horses brought as sacrifice. In addition, archaeologists found a place of worship with idols on the kurgans. There are several menhirs, including koitases. There are steles made in the form of sheep head with solar signs, as well as deer stone. The latter was called for having a depiction of deer. By the way, deer stones are not notable for this area. They are often found in Altai, Tiva, Transbaikal, Mongolia, and China. That is why archaeologists admit that nomads from different regions of Eurasian continent made a sort of pilgrim's journey to this ritual and monument complex.
Основные обработки, основное сырье – это были камни.
The main finished materials, the main raw materials were stones. Everything they made in their settlements were produced from stones. This structure and the whole construction. Therefore, they used stones to build burial sites where they performed their rituals. They didn't need to go far or to make heaps of soil several meters high. They finished the stones and used them to build beautiful structures. And these very stones were preserved for several thousands of years. Each stone is an artifact. It is a print of the ancient history left by our ancestors. The Pavada region is a unique region. This land has carefully preserved each milestone of its history. While geological establishment of the land is well reflected with the Bayanaul mountains, and the history of humans was stored in the archaeological monuments of the Stone, Bronze, and Iron Ages. The development of animal world is vividly represented in the unique paleontological monument called Goose Migration. It is located within the city of Pavlodar, on the right bank of Irtysh River. Scientists consider the very first animals that appeared in the area to belong to the Neogene period, which was 2.5 million years ago. There are two such paleontological monuments in the world, here and in Canada. A plenty of bone remainings were found here, and our Goose Migration Monument, located in Pavlodar, is a sort of standard. Fauna found here belongs to Hipparian type, as the main animal which remainings were found here was Hipparion, an ancient three-toothed horse. Its skeleton is also exhibited in our museum. It is not the direct ancestor of the modern horse, but they have much in common. Also, during that period, there were a lot of different types of rhinoceroses, saber-toothed cats, giraffes, and antelopes living here. I would say there were representatives of the modern fauna of African savanna. During the Ice Age, the climate and the fauna changed. The thermophilic animals were replaced by ones patient to cold. Scientists call it the Anthropogenic period, when cave bears, bisons, and mammoths appeared. But the most unique showpiece of the Pavlodar Museum seems to be a huge deer, which lived on the bank of the nowadays Irtysh more than 1 million years ago. This animal was really big. It is called Megaloceros. They had huge antlers up to 3.5 meters long, weighing 90 kilograms. A distinctive feature of our exhibit deer is that it is fully preserved skeleton. And it is a rare thing for paleontologists, as after such long period of time, over 1 million years, they were lucky to find almost safe and fully preserved skeleton. The Pavlodar Irtysh area, a rich land where vast steppes are decorated with birch tree groves and belts of pine trees. The ancient Irtysh splits the area in two almost equal parts. Its flood basin is unique and rich. The major part of the region is occupied with steppe plain, which Kazakhs called Sararka or Golden Steppe from the ancient times. It really stores plenty of treasures. The region holds one of the leading places in the mineral resources sector of the country. The total amount of solid minerals of the Pavlodar Irtysh area is estimated at $460 billion. The land of ancient miners and metallurgists is rich with large deposits of copper, gold, silver, molybdenum, coal, and limestone. And this land was the birthplace of a man who made huge contribution to exploration of minerals in Kazakhstan. He is Ganesh Satpayev, a pioneer of the homeland geology. He was born and grew up in Bayanaul, a land of crystal clear lakes and odd-shaped rocks.